And 12 minutes past 7. Well, as you know, the government's planning to put our prisons under private management in a bid to streamline an inefficient corrections service. But critics say it won't help the justice system and could put the public in greater danger. Well, among them is Prison Officers Union boss Bevan Hanlon, who joins us this morning. Bevan, good morning to you.
Morning, Pivot.
You don't like the idea?
No, we're against the idea. It hasn't worked anywhere else in the world, so why should we experiment and do it again in New Zealand?
Could you say it worked here, though? I mean, 5 years, they seem to have fairly good success. One escape over, the 5 years they were here, compared quite well. This is the Auckland remand prison. Yeah,
the problem is we compared a prison built in 1990 as opposed to a prison that was built in 1890. And when you have a purpose-built single-cell accommodation that's not even completely full because they never actually filled it, the contract said that they'd fill it to about 80%, it makes it a lot easier to run than all the public system, which was bulging at the seams.
So that's a little bit misleading to say that it was successful, but it was successful.
Well, the figures are popping up are saying it was successful. I'd put up figures to say that it cost $42,000 a year to run a remand prisoner in that prison, and it was only $36,000 to run a remand prison in the rest of the country.
So the corrections facility corrections department is doing things more efficiently?
We're actually renowned for being an efficient service around the world. So we have low staff to prisoner ratios. Originally, we had low levels of assaults and suicides and things. Unfortunately, that's starting to creep up, but so is the prison population, and these things go hand in hand.
Things are not all well with corrections at the moment. You would be the first to admit that.
You wouldn't have me on TV if I was going to tell you that corrections is being well managed at the moment. You just have to look at all the stabbings, all the staff assaults, the prisoner walkaways. We're in trouble. But I don't think privatisation is the answer.
Why are you so concerned about privatisation? I mean, we've mentioned a few things. Money was one of them. What are the issues with us privatising some prisons? Because the government's basically said most likely it would only be a handful. Yeah,
the problem that we have with privatising prisons is the fact that a study in the US, a government study back in 2001, showed that there were a 65% increase in prisoner staff assaults and an 80% increase in prisoner assaults.
Well, where does that come from? Why would it be different?
Because they have less staff. They run the prisons with lower staffing. The reason they do that is simply because that's where they save their money. They don't save their money anywhere else except for cutting out staff, not providing programs and not providing the rehabilitative opportunities that the public service does.
Corruption is another concern that you have. What is the evidence that there is greater corruption when prisons are privately run? Well,
for starters, they pay lower wages, so you're going to be more open to getting people that are less likely to avoid that sort of thing. They're easier to pay to get things done because they're on a lower wage to start with. But we're talking high-level corruption here. We're talking about the fact that these companies are multinational companies and they fund a lot of government departments around the world that have gone towards privatisation. The most recent case is 2 judges in America who were sentencing juvenile prisoners to jail, private facilities, and received millions of dollars in kickbacks from those private facilities.
You talk about them paying lower wages. The talk is that basically they do at the lowest level, but then higher up in your management, people are being paid better. Is that the case? Yeah,
the people that are getting assaulted every day, they're on low wages, and the people that make the decisions to get them assaulted are on high wages. Doesn't really work for us. Is that
really the feeling as to what it would be like in a privately run prison?
That's how it works now in the government system, so it would just be making it worse. It would make the higher paids on even more money and the lower paids on even less money.
We've got you on this morning. Something else that's come up recently is the idea of double bedding, so that inmates would be sharing cells. That's something that you are keen for. Wouldn't that make it even more dangerous for your guys out there?
I wouldn't say we're keen on it. We're going around the country at the moment trying to gauge feedback from our members, but something you want to think about is that this couldn't happen with a private prison. Private prisons are paid per prisoner, and you wouldn't be able to go to the staff and say, hey, how about looking at helping us out here? We can't afford $1 billion to build 3 new prisons. How about we double bunk? So that's one opportunity that the government are trying to seize upon here that they wouldn't be able to do with private prisons.
Bevan, thanks for joining us this morning. Bevan Hanlon from the Corrections Association.